Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. All right. I hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. All right, we're going to get right on into our session on today. Our session on today is 10 steps to a healthy marriage. 10 steps to a healthy marriage. Make sure you like and share this with a friend. Share it with someone that's thinking on getting married or someone that's already married. Make sure you share it with them and, just give them a little heads up about it. Just tell them how great it is. All right. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to get right in there. 10 steps to a healthy marriage. Okay. Number one on 10 steps to a healthy marriage is spend time with each other. Spending time with each other is very important in a marriage. You want to make sure that you're going out with your wife, taking her places, and just spending time. Not even just going out. Sometimes in the house, you might want to sit down, watch a movie or something. And especially on Sundays, you fellows with the football season going on, make sure you try to take a couple hours out of each Sunday, especially if your spouse goes to church. Make sure you take a couple hours out of each Sunday, and then you can get ready for the game after. And if she goes to church, make sure you go to church with her. That's another way of spending time. That's a big way of spending time with the family because usually the whole family goes. And if you stay at home, then especially you couples that have sons, then they're gonna want to stay at home too, and you don't want to send that message. So make sure that you take a couple hours on your Sundays and spend it with your wife and go to attend church with her. If you don't like the church, make sure you have that conversation with her, and and you're the head of the household. Pick a church that you like, and go there, and so that way you can go as a family on Sunday mornings. All right, now the next one, number two, learn to negotiate conflict. Learn to negotiate conflict. That's a really good one because people don't want to compromise. When they're in the middle of arguing, I told you I was right. I told you. And then when you're right, you got to rub it in. You ever been right and you just rubbed it in? We've all been there. Especially if there's a little conflict going on in there, and you find out, and when you realize that you're right, you just got to rub it in. I told you. Especially women, y'all really good at that. I told you. I told him. I told him. All right. Okay. But make sure you learn how to negotiate conflict. Because when you learn to negotiate, that means that you're not going to be in an argument. And it means there's going to be some compromising there. Learn to compromise instead of getting into those arguments and start bringing up things from the past. And you start doing all that, then it's going to definitely be a conflict. And you don't want to start a conflict in your marriage. You want to make sure you keep the peace in your home. And sometimes just because you're right don't mean you always have to say something. And just because you're telling the truth don't always have to come out. Yeah, first of all, when you're telling the truth, you have to. That's the same thing when you're in the ministry. When you're telling the truth, there's a way that you tell the truth. Even when you're, again, when you're a minister, you have to tell the truth in a way. You have to watch how your delivery. In other words, you have to watch how you deliver the truth. And the same thing in a marriage. You have to watch how you tell someone, the truth, and that way it won't start conflict. No one's feelings will get hurt. All right, let's move it on to number three. Number three, show respect to each other at all times. There's sometimes there's disrespect in marriages, and the prime example is when you're disrespecting your husband is when you don't let him, be the head. You always overbearing. You always trying to tell him what to do. Even if you know something that he doesn't know, there's a way that you tell him that, oh, do it this way. You don't make him, being respectful, you don't make him feel foolish. You don't put him in awkward positions, volunteering him for something that he don't know nothing about. That's another way of being disrespectful. Make sure that we are respecting each other. Make sure that we are also part of being disrespectful is a lot of times when you distrust your spouse. Uh, Stop, disrespecting your spouse by not trusting him. When you marry someone, there should be a trust level there, and if it's not there, then you need to seek some kind of counseling or something. Make sure that we're respecting each other's space, respecting each other's time, because you're not going to be together all the time. There's a time that you come together, but there's a time that you each need your own little space. That way that what they say, absence make the heart grow fonder. So you need your little space there. You give your wife a little space that way she can reflect on what she needs to do and the things that's on her mind. Make sure that we are respecting each other in that sense. And number 4, learn about yourself first. You have to know yourself before you get into a relationship. Don't get in a relationship when you're not sure where you're going, who you are. You have to know where you're going, what your goals in life are. And if you don't have any kind of sense of where you're going, you can't really get anywhere in your marriage. You have to. That's why last week I talked about the healing process once you get out. For instance, if you get out of a marriage, don't jump right into another relationship. You got to learn yourself first. You got to analyze yourself and figure out what I could have done to make the marriage better. Don't always, because as soon as we get out of a marriage, we want to blame the other party. It's all this fault. I was a good wife. I was a good husband. But it's most of the time it's both parties and involved, and something led up to that final decision. So make sure you know yourself, and that way when you know yourself, you won't make those same mistakes again when you get into the next relationship, or you won't be harboring things from a previous relationship. Okay, number 5, explore intimacy. See, a lot of people think in a marriage, intimacy just means sex, but it does not mean just sex. That's a major part of it, but it's not the only part of it. Intimacy is, when you're just holding hands, or when you're just walking together, or when you're just having a conversation. Now, don't make your conversation always be arguments. It's the only time you talk is when you argue. Make sure you have conversations where you talk about each other's goals and what you both want to plan together, and that's part of intimacy. Just a simple touch of a person. When you walk by your spouse, you put your hand on them, or put your hand on his head, or her shoulders. You always put your hand on them, or that's exploring intimacy, where it's not always just physical. You're exploring each other's thoughts, which is part of intimacy as well. And you're meeting each other's needs. That's all a part of intimacy. Okay, number 6, explore common interests. I kind of talked about that in number 5. Exploring common interests. When you're married, it's going to be 2 separate people with 2 separate personalities, 2 separate ideals, and you put those ideals together and you explore each other's common interests. And usually, a lot of times, if they're common interests, sometimes you have to uh, compromise. You might not want to go to your in-laws' house all the time. but you make you compromise. Once you get there, everything's okay. Exploring the common interests where, what she has her dreams, you support each other in their endeavors, what they want to do in life, and not putting them down and, oh, you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't do that. And we've all been guilty of it. But you explore the common interests, the things that they are interested in, make sure that you support whatever they're doing in their in interest, in their common interests. Number 7. Here's number 7. Create a spiritual connection. This is a very, very important one. Creating a spiritual connection. When you're creating a spiritual connection, that means that you're on one accord when you're praying for certain things, and when you want things to happen in your marriage, and that way, that what they used to say, a family that prays together stays together. A marriage that prays together, you stays together as well. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you both, it depends on the couple. Some couples might get down on their knees together, and pray together like that. There's other ways to pray together. Pray together. One might pray simultaneously with the other party. We're praying for the same thing. They not necessarily come together and pray, but they touch and agree on something. When you touch and agree on it, you have that spiritual connection that you're praying for something. And when your wife is going through a little things, or when the husband is going through a little things, or discouraging, when you have that spiritual connection, you know when to encourage them, and we should be encouraging each other. And that's part of this spiritual connection. Sometimes you're sharing scriptures, and you're talking about the word, you're talking about what happened in church, and how it made you feel in church, and things of that nature. That's showing a spiritual connection, when you can bond and touch and agree on one thing. All right. Number 8, improve your communication skills. Now we all can uh, we all can work on this, improving your communication skills, because sometimes you try to figure out how to say something and you don't know how to say it, and we have to think before you say something. And when something happens, you have to watch your reactions. You have to watch your facial expressions. My wife always tell me that. Oh, I could tell by looking at your face. You have to watch your facial expressions, your body expressions, when you're communicating, because you could be communicating or talking with your mate, and not necessarily yelling, but the tone of your voice could project that you're yelling, and your body language could say that you're yelling or you're upset. And when you're upset, there's no community. All communication breaks down when you're upset, because you just say the first thing that comes off the top of your head. I'll say, and also, that's why you run out of words when you're in the midst of an argument, you're trying to communicate it, but you already mad. That's why sometimes, in order to have to improve your communication skills, you have to wait until you calm down before you try to discuss something. If you try to discuss it when you're upset, you just gonna say anything that comes off the top of your head. And then after you say, you say, did I just say that? Or why did I say that? And then you have to apologize. I didn't mean to say that. I was just mad. That's why you shouldn't try to communicate when you're when you're angry. Wait till you calm down. Just calm it down. Just bring it down a notch, and then you try to. That's when you start to communicate and start. You have a better communicating skills, And one of the major things to improve your communication skills is listening. And you can't listen and talk at the same time. When you're listening, that means you're not saying anything. You're listening to the other party. And when you listen, you'll have a better that gives you a better opportunity to communicate better. They'll give you a better opportunity to have a more calming answer when you're communicating. So the communicating your skills, we all can improve and have need to improve your communication skills or our communication skills, and it's very important. It's a very important thing in a marriage is communication. If there's something that's bothering you in your marriage, find a way to talk to your wife without being offensive. That's that's how you improve your communication skills. If there's something bothering you and it's on your mind and you don't know how to bring it up in a conversation, just pray about it. And pray about it, because usually when you pray about something, that's one thing about prayer. It calms you down. You don't go in mad about it or say something that's offensive. Because when you start saying things offensive and things to offend somebody, your communication skills are all broken down. In order to keep good or to improve your communication skills, part of that, the major part of that, improving your communication skills, excuse me, is listening. And when you learn to listen to someone, you can respond to them better than just flying off the handle. I told you now. You say it one more time. I knew you ain't even have to go there. Your communication skills is all out the window when you get to that point when you start shaking your head, you get all nervous, your eyes bug out. I told you. Nose flare. Communication skills is all out the window. So we all of us, even in I know I realized being in the ministry all these years that even as a minister, we can improve our communication skills as well. Because sometimes you say things over the pulpit that you shouldn't have said, and oh my goodness, why did I just say that? That's why a lot of times you have to ask the Lord to help you when or guide you when you go up to speak. And the same thing in a marriage. Before you start a conversation, especially if there's something that's on your mind, make sure that you are communicating it properly. Think about it first before you bring it up, and find a way to bring it out. Bring it out when you both are, not in the middle of an argument. You don't want to bring anything serious up that's been on your mind in the middle. And another thing, it wouldn't bother me, because then they said, well, why didn't you tell me? And all that. You don't want to go down that road. You make sure that it's a nice atmosphere. You might be out to dinner or something like that. Make sure you're in a beautiful atmosphere or beautiful setting. That way you can communicate better anyway. When you're that'll definitely improve your communication skills based on your atmosphere or your surroundings. You can communicate better because first of all, everyone is on a calm level. You don't want to try to communicate something when you're in the middle of an argument because neither one of you are listening. Then you're trying to out talk the other one. I said, and you said, and then you both start getting loud and everything. So we can all improve our communication skills. So improving your communication skills is very important in a marriage. All right. Number nine, forgive each other. Oh my goodness, that's a really big one. Is forgive each other. And when you forgive each other, make sure you don't keep bringing it up. Because sometimes you forgive a person, and as soon as you have another conflict, the thing that you forgave them 4 weeks ago or even a year ago, it comes back up again. Make sure when you forgive someone that you don't keep bringing it up, because that causes that, and that breaks down communication as well. When you don't learn to forgive someone, when you forgive someone, forgive them and move on. And I'm not telling you, and I had mentioned it once before, that some things you're not going to forget, because we're human. We're not going to forget things. The key about it is to move on and forget about it. Not forget about it, move on and not bring it up again. Because some things you won't forget, So the thing is to move on and not bring it up again. Because when you keep bringing it up, it's gonna bring up old feelings all over again. You ever had something happen to you and you start talking about it, and the next thing you mad about it all over again. Yeah, I remember when they threw that ball at my head, and when I was in high school, and you start talking about that and you get upset all over again. So you make sure that when you forgive someone, move on. Don't bring it up again, and move on. Don't every time you have a discussion or every time you're upset about something, you start bringing it up. Don't bring up that stuff again. Just keep it out. Yeah. Number 10, this is the last one. Number 10, look for the best in each other. Look for the best in each other. If a person that you're with, and the Lord bless you, and you guys have wonderful chemistry together, and the Lord has placed you together, they're your soulmate and all that. When they're your soulmate, and you have to give them, I'll just make it as simple. You have to give them space, and don't keep thinking about their past. Because if you keep thinking about their past, the things that you knew about them from their past, you're not going to look for the best in them. You're going to be suspecting, uh, you're going to be suspicious about everything they do. So what you're going to do is looking for the best in them. You're going to know that they are not going to go nowhere. They're going to always be there with you. They have your back, and you're not going to be, you're not going to be thinking about bad things about them. You're going to look for the best in them, and they're going to expect the best from you. So you're not going to, for example, you're not going to every time they leave the house thinking they're going to be up to something or think they up to something. And when their phone ring, you're trying to figure out what they talking about or who they talking about. Look for the best in them. And especially when you got your stuff together. When you got everything together, you keep yourself up, and that. Uh, say to yourself, he ain't going nowhere. He mine, she mine. She ain't going nowhere. Now what I'm missing all this. Yeah, when you build up that confidence in yourself, you'll always look for the best in your mate. Make sure that sometimes you're gonna be separated. You're gonna be apart. So when you look for the best in them, they're gonna have your best interest, whether they with you or whether they not with you. Because you can't be with them 24 hours a day. So when you look for the best in them, you just waiting for them to get back home and you have a surprise for them. And before they leave there, you put something on their mind. You put something on their mind, and they'll be thinking about you all day long. Just whisper something in their ear, and you whisper something nice and romantic in their ear. They're gonna be thinking about you all day long. And rush home. You might just get a surprise. Might just get some flowers or something. Or might get taken after dinner or something. So we're gonna look for the best in each other. So those were the 10 steps to a healthy marriage. All right. If you guys have any questions on any of these steps, and you want to add number 11 or number 12, number 13, 14, 15, just jot them down and I'll bring them up. Or if you have a subject you want to you want me to discuss, just jot it down in the comments. So when you like and share this video, make sure you jot down any questions or any topics that you want me to discuss or cover, and we'll try to cover any toppings within reason that you suggested. This is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off once again with Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this afternoon, and I hope you are blessed. If you woke up this morning, like I said, you're blessed. All right, until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off.